Now, in recent weeks, the use of anti-Semitic language has been making headlines over social media. Fashion brands have dropped celebrities like Kanye West and recently basketball star Kyrie Irving, as well as in Jacksonville, Florida. Police responded to a group of men that posted anti-Semitic banners above an interstate. Now, these situations all gaining national attention. Tonight, we want to tell you about a similar incident that happened on UTC's campus here in Chattanooga. Our Jeremiah Beatty is in the studio to explain. Jeremiah.
Cornelia, I spoke with one student who is Jewish who says the problem with these flyers is that it creates a narrative that could cause harm to the Jewish community. Carter Jordan, a student at UTC, found this flyer that says, quote, "At the height of American slavery, 78% of slave owners were ethnic Jews. 40% of the Jewish population were slave owners, while only a small amount of white Americans owned slaves." Carter says he believes the numbers represented on the flyers are not accurate.
Yeah, the sources themselves are actually like Jewish pages, like Hillel International is an organization for Jewish people. And then the census should be very standardized information. And the problem is that it doesn't actually use any of those sources, and it just makes statements, and it cites them to pretend like it looked and did its research, but it really just made broad, misleading statements and then cited sources that have nothing to do with the statements they made.
Carter believes this type of information could put him and those in the Jewish community in harm's way. He says with the current climate of anti-Jewish rhetoric on the local and national level, Carter believes it's important to address it now before it becomes a bigger problem later. The administration at UTC is investigating this incident. At this time, it's unclear who posted the flyers. Our team has reached out to the school for comment but have not heard back yet. For now, reporting live, Jeremiah Beatty, Local 3 News.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. Well, earlier this morning, a juvenile died after suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Chattanooga police found the minor near the 600 block of Block Street just before 4 a.m. Now, the victim later died at the hospital. Police do not know what caused the incident, but they do ask if you have any information to give them a call to help with the investigation. Now, in other news, the warm weather continued today as the rain went away, and meteorologist Clay Smith is here with what you need to know for your upcoming work week. Clay?
Well, Cornelia, today was very warm for November standards, especially. We hit 80 degrees on the thermometer here at the Chattanooga airport, which was pretty close to the record. We didn't quite get there. We're just a degree shy. But in the Tri-Cities, up into Johnson City, Bristol, they hit 84, which shattered their record high. So a lot of warm air here across the Tennessee Valley, East Tennessee, all the way down into Montgomery. In fact, Montgomery hit 87 earlier today, so it was very warm, not only here in the Tennessee Valley, but across the entire region. We had a lot of cloud cover, a few sprinkles earlier today, and we're still locked into the mid to upper 70s. So if you're heading out and about on this Sunday evening, no need for a jacket. We're going to have some cloud cover with temperatures hovering in the 70s for the next several hours. And yeah, with that time change and the revert back to standard time, the sun has already went down. Sunset was at 5:42, and we just have fleeting light here over the city and still quite a bit of cloud cover as we take a look at our missionridge.com cam. But again, not a whole lot to talk about. We could have a couple of showers along the stationary boundary early Monday morning, but not going to be a washout. Also some patchy fog tonight. And then we're talking warm weather to start the week, and then a major shot of cold air arrives next weekend. So we'll break all that down with your full forecast coming up here in just about 15 minutes. But for now, back to you, Cornelia.
Thanks so much, Clay. Well, in your Decision 22 news, the Georgia Senate race could end up determining the balance of power in the United States Senate. And football legend Herschel Walker is hoping that his popularity from his playing days propels him into public office. Walker is attempting to become the first Heisman Trophy winner to serve in Congress. Political editor Noah Pransky says he'd be far from the first athlete to parlay his sports success into a political career.
Few names are as familiar to Americans as those who grace the sports pages, which may help explain why so many have successfully made the jump into politics and onto the front page. One of the first icons to parlay his sports career into a job in Washington, a guy by the name of Gerald Ford, a Michigan football star turned Michigan congressman. It was a gig he'd hold for 24 years before the Watergate scandal unexpectedly thrust him into the White House. You could always find an Olympic medalist or two in the Capitol. Kansas's Jim Ryan, California's Bob Mathias, and Illinois' Ralph Metcalf, just to name a few. And only a year after retiring in 1969, Bills quarterback Jack Kemp would win a congressional seat that he'd go on to hold for 18 years. NBA Hall of Famer Bill Bradley followed a similar path 8 years later, retiring from the Knicks and immediately launching a Senate bid. He'd win and represent the people of New Jersey for 18 years. And Baseball Hall of Famer Jim Bunning followed his stellar 17-year career with 24 years, representing his home state of Kentucky, half in the House, half in the Senate. Head coaches, we got those too. From Nebraska coaching legend Tom Osborne to longtime Auburn coach Tommy Tuberville, now representing the state of Alabama. But former football players top the electoral scoreboard with at least 7 winning congressional seats in the last 20 years alone, including Hall of Fame wide receiver Steve Largent, former quarterback Heath Shuler, and former first-rounder Anthony Gonzalez from Ohio State. There's nothing easy about running or winning a seat in Congress. But looking at the box score, it seems there's a definite advantage for candidates who are already famous because of their running and winning.
Now, with early voting over in Georgia, election officials are reporting a record number of midterm ballot casts. More than 2.5 million votes have been cast in the Peach State ahead of Tuesday's election day. Now, Texas has also had an impressive 5.4 million ballots cast, more than Florida with 4.2 million and California with 3.8 million. Of course, we are following several key races in Georgia. It will be round 2 for the governor's race, with Republican Governor Brian Kemp and Democrat candidate Stacey Abrams facing off for a second time. In the Georgia Senate race, incumbent Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock is locked in a close race with Republican challenger Herschel Walker. And in North Georgia, District 14 incumbent Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is facing a challenge from Democrat Marcus Flowers. Now, over in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee is challenged by Dr. Jason Martin, a Democrat, and Representative Chuck Fleischman is taking on Democrat Meg Gorman. Both of them joined Latrice Curry in studio for an interview, and of course, you can watch that over on our website. Now, in the State House, Democrat Allison Gorman is challenging District 26 State Representative Greg Martin. Well, coming up next, it was a big band day at the farmers market, and a familiar face, or should I say voice, led dancing couples through the afternoon. We'll tell you who after this break.
If you can use some exotic blues, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on, fly, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic blues, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on, let's fly away.
What beautiful, beautiful sounds. Well, today at the First Horizon Pavilion, it's Big Band Day at the Chattanooga Market. Our very own Greg Glover, as you just saw, led the Sweet Georgia Sound Ensemble to give the soundtrack to dancing couples through swing, Latin, and waltz tunes. Now, the group has been performing at the Chattanooga Farmers Market for years. And it was also a special moment in Dalton today as firefighters ran in their full gear in memory of a former Boys and Girls Club staff member, Miss Sue Gilley. Her son Barry Gilley is the one carrying the flag that you see right there. This was at the Veterans Road race. Now, last night we all changed our clocks back an hour, but the Chattanooga Fire Department is reminding people to also check your smoke alarm. And the department held an event this afternoon to make sure families have working smoke alarms in their homes. They handed out free smoke alarms for people to take home and install. They say it's the perfect time to make a habit to remember the 2 household chores all at once.
You can pair those 2 things together, give them a better thought process and remembering, well, I'm going to change my clocks back, so let me change my batteries and my smoke alarm too. That way, you know, you're being safe and you're protecting yourself as well as your property.
Now, the fire department says smoke detectors play a vital role in reducing fire deaths and injuries. They say it's important to make sure you have working smoke alarms on every level of your home. Test them at least once a month and replace them if they are more than 10 years older.